Hey y'all, it's Zoox, and I'm joining Chibi and Vertec at the Golden Feather Tavern. Come on in, grab a seat, and let's share tales of adventure.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the Golden Feather Tavern, where your hosts, Chibi and Vertec, discuss Ashes of Creation and topics spoken about within the Ashes community. Every week, we invite you, the viewer, and a special guest to pull up a chair, grab a pint, and join the conversation with us. Today is the 1st of February 2025. We are on episode 227, our thoughts on the dev livestream. And the bard joining us today, it's Zoox. How are you today, friend?
I'm good, how are y'all?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. It's a good Saturday. It's the day after Friday, which makes it extra Friday.
I mean, also, I don't know if anybody else feels like this, but January this year felt so long.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I think it felt like the longest January ever.
Ever.
I mean, it probably felt longer for y'all, right? After what y'all had to deal with.
Too. Yeah, and I think also with all the holidays and stuff, it just, I mean, Vertec, right? They do their dev stream in December, like before the middle of December, and then we don't get one till the after, like the end of like January. So it's like a long spread of time.
Yeah.
Well, Chibi, what do we have on top today?
Well, first off, actually, I don't think he's here, but that's okay. We owe somebody a shot from Tuesday, I believe.
Oh my goodness. Do we?
And I figured, it being the 1st of February, and you know, our 227th episode and all, the white rum with the strawberry liqueur would be a perfect fit for February, given Valentine's Day and all. So here's my like winch shot glass, and Vertec has his.
And my lighting is just off, but hey, it's good to be king.
But also mine's matte, so.
I got mine up too, you just can't see it.
Yeah. Cool, perfect.
Well, cheers.
So, cheers, real quick.
Cheers.
We are in a tavern, so drinking is welcome. Just please don't be belligerent.
Yes,
I mean,
no.
that's, you know, objective, so.
Yeah, exactly. But aside from that, we have talking about the dev live stream, and they had a pretty good one. Hi Peoria, welcome in. Pretty good one talking about the pocket dungeons within Ashes of Creation's desert update that they did. And Vertec and I had a chance to get close and personal with Planendorf during the PTR and test it out ourselves. So it was really cool seeing them kind of going through the desert area. And it definitely felt like a throwback to Steven's, like, I'm kind of doing ADHD things in games where they're supposed to start off with a treasure map, and I think Steven forgot about that because he got all excited about showing off the weather, which we'll get into in a second. But there were a lot of Q&A options and a lot of really cool things to see in general, and I think we're just gonna kind of go through and give our thoughts on them. But first, I want to introduce everybody to Zoox. And Zoox, this is your first time on our podcast, right?
Yes, it is.
So for those that don't know you, who are you? Where are you? And what do you do?
I'm level 20 ranger on Vyra.
Okay.
For the Grey Sentinels.
Nice.
Yeah.
You make
but
any
IRL, I'm a
content at all?
dad. You know, I live in the South. You know, normal things.
Normal things.
I dig it.
Are you a content creator, or are you just one of like the people that like to enjoy just gaming and stuff?
It's a side project. You know, I got the normal 9 to 5, and then you know, this is my side hustle, you know?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotta share with the world your experiences.
Oh yeah,
Everyone likes
I
different
love playing
viewpoints.
games, and you know, it's just thought I'd try something different, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So how long have you been with the Grey Sentinels?
Oh man, I don't know. It's probably been about, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years. I don't know. A while, a good bit. I got it once I got into Ashes. I immediately started looking for an RP guild to get in with. So
Okay, so you are an RPer from before. I was gonna ask that next. How long have you been into roleplay?
it was, man, that's a very nebulous time frame. I didn't really, I haven't done a lot of RP, like deep RP stuff. I've just sort of, I enjoy the RP community. When I play games, I'm loosely RPing. It's not but I definitely back in, I'd probably say Burning Crusade, World of Warcraft, probably.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you play other RP type of games outside of MMOs, like D&D and things like that?
Yeah, I used to play D&D back in the day, but it's the time commitment is just not there for me at the moment.
Yeah.
But I enjoy hearing about other people's D&D stories. So I play a lot of different games. I don't really stick to any sort of genre. I'll like I was just playing FTL the other day. I like RPGs in general, but anything I can pick up and put down without too much stress.
Yeah,
absolutely. See, a lot of people forget about or don't know or just keep out of mind the time commitment that's involved with D&D campaigns.
Oh yeah.
You get a full tilt campaign and you only play like 3 to 4 hours a week. Like, you meet on Thursdays for D&D night. You're going to be in that campaign for about 3 years. You're going to be a little...
It's a long time, man.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Especially like as a DM and planning everything. You got to make sure that everything's set up nicely so that the players can just come and enjoy.
Yeah, that's it's just frustrating too, because you wanna be there putting the time in. It's just there's only so many hours in the day to do it, and you got to coordinate between so many people.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Get yourself a party of 4 people and a DM and maybe a 5th person, and suddenly it's that one night a week is all you can really do.
Yeah.
So what drew you to Ashes? You mentioned you played World of Warcraft and a few other games. Why Ashes specifically?
Oh man, a lot of reasons. I got into Ashes thanks to Lazy Peon. His video that everybody loved. The first one, I think, or he had one before it. It was the one where they had the first 4K footage.
Okay.
From Ashes.
I think that's
it was post
2019-ish.
Kickstarter for sure. Yeah. But that was the first. I followed Lazy Peon and took his word for it. And there's a lot of things about the game that drew me in. And I, once I looked into it and I signed up pretty immediately. I got into the Alpha 2. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome.
Sorry, we got Mary Jones over there recommending maybe a steamy little bit of a book.
Oh no.
Oh my.
Not those books.
My goodness. So have you had any favorite moments out of an RPG or an MMO RPG specifically that you'd like to see, maybe not replicated, but to kind of experience in Ash's style?
Man, I honestly, it's not anything specific I would point to, but anything that involves me being out in the world, and I like running into and having. It's like you're running into another person, and then it's like you're on it's like an NPC in the game, and they just probably a week ago, I was just walking to, I think it was like New Ayla or something, and somebody stopped me, and they're like couldn't find their treasure mound.
Aww.
And they wanted some help. I love that type of stuff. I like that. I love the spontaneity of it, and I've gotten that a lot in WoW. You know, and I got that a lot in just about every MMO I've ever played, and I want that to continue.
Yeah. There's some nifty aspects. Have you gone on any of those treasure map hunts yet?
Oh, a ton of them. Yeah,
Nice.
I say a ton, like 25.
Hey, okay.
Do you think that the rewards that they give are quality rewards, or do you wish that they had better rewards in general? I haven't actually done one yet, because unfortunately, mine bugged the first one I did.
Hey, mine did too. Yeah, first one I did, I did it, and then the kids needed something, so I logged off real quick, came back, and it was just gone.
Mine wouldn't even show me on the map where to find it.
Yeah, no,
I was just completely lost.
I like the rewards. I've tried at the moment, right, we're stuck on like novice maps, and you're
Why is
really just
that?
sort of. Do we have I guess I haven't used an apprentice map at least, but there's different rarities for the novice maps, and I've found that if you, at least with rare novice maps, one of the rare maps got me 45 Weeping Willow, which you know was like a ton of money.
Yeah.
So some of them are like I've got one where it was like, you know, just like 40, you know, basalt or something. I was like, okay, cool, great. Could have done that myself, right? But okay. Yeah. So it's all right. I like the potions. Having a little bit of potions in there is kind of nice, because otherwise I likely wouldn't use them. As well as I like the XP scrolls. So
yeah, for me, I think unless I can sell the XP scrolls, which I think maybe you can, I don't really find the use for them, because we're both level 25 at this point. Maybe use it for an alt, but yeah, I think other than that,
yeah, max it probably wouldn't be any help, right?
No, not really. So I think it would be kind of cool if they could tell what level your character is and then determine what would be a good item then. I don't know if they have it kind of dynamic like that, but it would be nice if it was a little bit more maybe dynamic. There was this suggestion or this thought that if you went with, like within our guild at least early on, if you went with like a herbalism satchel, maybe you'd get more herbs. If you went with a mining satchel, maybe you'd get more like rock nodes. And I think that'd be kind of cool if it could tell, because like the game knows all these things about you already through their systems. I think it'd be really cool if you tell what that player might need more of or could potentially hope for more of, and then give it to you.
Yeah,
because it's one of those, like, as an alchemist or as a tailor, I would want more flowers and things like this. So
yeah, I haven't seen a lot of flowers.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
Basil.
Basil says, I thought this was a tavern, not a bakery, because all I see are cutie pies.
So sweet. So sweet.
So sweet. But yeah, not a lot of flowers in yours, mainly like rock or tree.
Gems and stones mostly.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
so,
do you? Yeah.
So you say you're a ranger currently in AOC. Is that your preferred archetype typically?
Yeah, that's all I'll ever play.
That's it. Like,
That's
if there's
it.
a game
I'm
with
not
a
choosing
bow
anything
and
else.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had a specific fantasy for what a ranger should be. It's not been appropriately done, in my opinion, and I'm betting that it should be good for Ashes.
Do you think the secondary archetypes will adjust how that works in the future, or like, what do you mean by you don't feel like it's been done the way that you're like seeing it? What do you think it's lacking, or what do you think it's missing?
I think a lot of what will likely anything I think that's missing from classes at the moment is something that's likely being worked on. But I see the secondary archetypes as getting you can lean into different, because you might want to be a ranger, but you might want to be, you know, a different type of ranger. I really like the stealthy rangers, and in a lot of games I've really only seen you either get a rogue or you get a ranger with a pet, and you know, that's just not the sort of fantasy I have for what a ranger should be, and so, I get to pick that now.
With the rogue coming out, do you prefer more ranger heavy with rogue-like things or more rogue heavy with ranger-like things?
I ranger with rogue, you know, sprinkles, you know.
Okay.
Because I like range combat. I think this, for me at least, it kind of goes back to like back when I would play like Halo or something. I always played with a sniper. I like the range, but I also like to be a sneaky sniper.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I play every game. You know, if anybody that's played Skyrim knows stealth archer build in Skyrim, like that's what I'm hoping to get from my ranger rogue scout. So
okay.
Out of curiosity, have you ever jumped into a game and found out that the ranger / archer / that whatever their equatable version of that is, and just kind of dipped out just purely on that alone?
I didn't dip out of the game, but I chose a different class. That was WoW 100%. I tried real hard to like the hunter, and I you know, I can't be stealthy with some creature running beside me. I just don't feel sneaky. I need to have, you know, so I went to rogue, and I played rogue mostly for a while. But no, there wasn't I would say I don't have a wide experience for MMOs, so I definitely have a limited but in RPGs in general, I think I think Skyrim does that sort of stealth ranger type kind of well, even though the AI is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But you know, as far as MMOs go, I don't really think I've seen a ranger that made me feel like it would scratch that itch, you know.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair. Speaking of rogue, Steven did announce during the live dev stream that it would be coming to PTR beginning of February, so we'll probably see it in the next couple of weeks. I'm pretty excited about that. There's a lot of people hoping for true stealth within rogue. Do you have any thoughts on that, or are you happy with the way that the camouflage is currently working for like what you're looking for out of what you would want to build for your class?
I mean, my camouflage on my ranger isn't working at all, but
oh, really?
At the moment, it's a little bug.
Like you had camouflage and nothing happens?
Nothing happened. I mean, I get a little, you know, you get the little buff icon, but I mean, I'm still obviously there. So it's a visual thing, I think.
I've never, so like other people said that they could still see you.
Yeah, you can kind of, even if it does work, because it hits, it's a hit or miss. I'll use it and I'll go camouflage, but you'll see my bow just swinging around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. As far as the true stealth goes, I thought Steven mentioned before already that he thought it would be a true stealth, right?
Maybe I'm mistaken. An alpha and a development
for rogue.
Sure.
For rogue,
I'm okay with true stealth. I'm okay if they're gonna be stealthy. I kind of think that they really need to lean on it. I don't want to. I feel like camouflage is just not good enough for what a rogue's supposed to be.
Yeah, but like Nera said, whatever true stealth means. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I guess on that note, we could probably transition into talking more about the dev stream. Do you have a preference? Do you want to go over like some of the Q&A topics, or do you want to go over like the content of the stream, like what the purpose of the stream was?
Hey, surprise me.
Okay, well, we're already kind of going on about rogue and whatnot. And so to kind of add in on that, Steven had mentioned that they are currently in the pipeline. It's going through VFX, and like I mentioned a second ago, PTR testing will be early February. So I think they're adding in like the sound effects and the visual stuff from like the different skill abilities and things like that. So pretty excited to see that. I know a lot of people were hoping January was going to be the Rogue Showcase. I kind of was hoping that January would be the Rogue Showcase to see it before it hit PTR. But it makes sense. They might want to like test out some bugs before showcasing going forward. Maybe that's what we'll see different from Intrepid now that there's a PTR and a live testing environment. That would be cool. But on that note, there's been apparently so far over 150,000 bugs reported, and this is including duplicated bugs. But that's crazy. 150k bugs. That's crazy.
It's felt like 150,000.
Probably, yeah. And I wonder how many of those are like interactive, you know. For example, a lot of the problems we're having with the inventory and the caravans all had to do with server boundaries and server workers. So maybe there's a lot of like interconnection there, and they have to like dig a little deeper and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, like one thing cascades out to multiple reported bugs.
Yeah, exactly. What bug, if any, that you've had kind of stood out to you? Like, obviously, there's still the big caravan ones. Have you done any caravans?
I've done a couple caravans, not a ton. I was a part of like an 80 caravan tromp through the Riverlands. So
like 80 actual caravans running, or like 80 person caravan?
80 caravans, I think, was the
Oh my
count.
gosh.
Wow.
It was a multi-guild thing that went down. It was like a couple weeks ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, there were definitely some caravan issues. But you know,
I imagine with that many. Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. Took a long it takes a long time to get that many caravans across the Riverlands.
It really
It
does,
does.
especially with all the bugs and the getting kicked out or crashing.
View
that
distance
happens.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, the view distance, that I don't know, that's not a bug, but it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, you keep
Especially when,
apparently. Oh, go ahead.
We had a couple PvP encounters, and the view distance is just, you know, it
really
makes
hard
it a
for
lot
that.
less fun.
Yeah. We during phase 1 we're doing a node war with I think we were Joeva, and we were going up against Winstead, and we completely didn't even know that there was a whole group behind us because of the view distance. We would turn, we'd look, there'd be nobody there, we'd be like, okay, we're good. Turn and focus on the people here, turn and look, nobody there, turn and focus. Next thing we know, we're getting like ambushed from the back because the view distance just didn't show anybody anywhere near that area.
Yeah, and then also the issues of too many caravans in view on your screen can cause issues.
Yeah, I could only
Honestly-
like mark up to defend like 9, and then I can't defend any others because they don't
I
fit
had
on
to
my
like
screen.
minimize them constantly and right click, because we did a bunch of caravans. I think we did more like 20 in one run, and I would defend, minimize, defend, minimize, defend, minimize. Hey Nolson, welcome in.
Hey, no.
But I don't know if you guys noticed, they actually updated the caravan event. Now it'll say event : names, like the player names, caravan. So now you know whose caravan you're attacking or defending.
Much big improve.
Yes.
Yeah, the whole
yes.
trip I was worried I was actually taking somebody else's caravan because we spawned in like a bunch right together. I have no
Is
idea
that in
which one it
phase
was.
2?
Yeah, it was phase 2. It was phase 2.
Yeah, phase 2 they fixed it. You can only ride your own caravan. You can't take somebody else's.
Oh, sweet. All right. Well, then I was
Yeah,
safe.
so you were completely fine.
I got there and my stuff was there. That's all I cared about. So
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no,
But,
we actually had a lot of people kind of taking advantage of that phase 1.
Yeah, I ended up with the caravan thing. I had to take the UI and scrunch down that element. So after accepting attack or
There's this
defend
tiny
and then
little
minimizing
fire.
it down, so it scrunches it down a little further. I think I can fit like 26 on the screen now.
Yeah, that's about what I got too.
yeah. No, it was a good time though.
Cool things with the treasure hunt, because you mentioned you did a couple of the treasure hunts. They did at the beginning, I think it was supposed to be a treasure hunt playthrough, but it ended up being more of a pocket dungeon show off, I think.
Yeah.
But the one treasure hunt that they did show was that it was over by the what was this called? I called it, I wrote it down somewhere. Green line snake bite stash, I think is what they referred to it as. And they talked about like how the look and feel made the different parts of the desert feel different. And they were using a lot of the what is that called? I put it down here lower. The procedurally generated content, or PCG as they refer to it as, for kind of filling out the desert. And later they kind of talked about how they took a lot of the things that they learned in New Ayla and the Riverlands and applied it to the desert. And that's why you're seeing like different types of desert, if you will, as you go and wander. And I love it. I think this update is amazing. It really helps to separate where you are visually within the desert, instead of the desert feeling kind of the same everywhere, minus the 1,000,001 mobs everywhere. I'm still a little confused on that one. But man, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I was just looking at that yesterday, actually. The desert area surrounding Azmoran. Oof.
Yeah.
Hope you have an escort.
Wasteland. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's they fleshed it out more with more like texture to the land and trees and creatures and such.
But you're wading through like enemies just to get to the city.
Exactly. It's a wasteland as far as like you're gonna get wasted if you run through it too low a level.
Yeah, there was a couple areas where I'd see there's like a level 12 scorpion next to a 3-star level 25 scorpion, and I'm like, ooh, I could die very easily here.
Vertec was trying to help me and another low level get to the desert, because we were trying to do some like swaps out in the desert with some gear and stuff. And he was like, just follow behind me and you'll be fine. And I'm following behind him, and then I'm like murdered.
Yeah, I'm like ranger jumping over the cliffs and stuff, trying to avoid all the mobs. So
yeah. But the cool thing I noticed is they updated the chest so that now like they have the square, like typical, like almost like Renaissance steam trunk chest where they're like very squared off, and like a little tiny corner of it is peeking out of the sand or the ground wherever you are. And once you collect it, it comes up on top of the ground and you can see the full thing. I thought that was really cool. And they kind of use, the reason why I was asking how you felt about what you got out of your treasure maps is they use the player feedback to determine, you know, how to adjust what's being dropped in there. So for example, a lot of people had mentioned that they're feeling like there's no copper, so they added more copper to that. So I thought that was really, really cool.
I was really happy to see the Weeping Willow in there, honestly. I've been running around trying to find Weeping Willow for forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is also not going to be a whole lot of Riverland nodes in the desert. I think that's the plan, is to keep the desert very deserty and the Riverlands very Riverlandsy.
Yeah. I did a treasure map in the desert just today, and I got some date logs or something like that. So
how do you know when it's going to be a desert treasure map versus somewhere else? Is it like dependent on where you are when you open it, or is it dependent on like
I don't know. I know that they have an item that's like, it specifically says novice desert restored map or whatever, but this was a novice Riverlands one, and I popped it, and it was like kind of, I'll say like perfectly between where that like Riverlands sort of canyon river meets up with the desert, like between a couple of those plateaus. So I was in the desert. I was flagged having to find it, so which was stressful.
Yeah. And Mary says, can't resist nodes 3.1. Exactly.
Nodes 3.1. Yeah,
I'd love a deeper dive on the nodes.
What was it, nodes 2.5?
Yeah.
What we got?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do this so I can remember what we did talk about, what we didn't talk
Yeah,
about.
no
Sorry.
saying. Waiting for Rogue to come out so you can play again. I'm curious though, how smooth an experience that's going to be, because there are so many people who are going to start Rogue, and I think it's going to be a solo leveling experience or a group of rogues doing all the leveling together. Because there's going to
Fun
be
to
everybody
watch.
starting Rogue and nobody else that was terribly interested in starting a different archetype.
Fun fact, apparently Kalar is the most played race across all of the characters. It's also the default, so maybe people being like, I don't care, just get me in there.
Yeah,
That's what I
And
do
then-
mostly.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they notice whenever they release something new, that people kind of flock to that for a moment. So when the dwarves were released, everybody went and made a dwarf, and then it kind of like filtered back through to like people playing whatever they normally play. Hello, Tergo, welcome in.
Hey, Turgo.
But I have a feeling it's going to be very similar. And you just talked about the solo experience for a moment. Somebody actually asked during the live stream, do they plan on making the solo playable, like more fun to play? And he said yes, but things are still going to be easier for groups. It's still going to be group oriented. But that being said, they are planning on working on the solo friendly experience. It should be a viable method, but maybe not like the one to always go to. It's just still viable to be able to do. So for those of you wondering, is Ashes of Creation solo friendly? It may not be at the moment. He actually seemed to have even understood that, like, yes, this was definitely not very fun solo right now, but that would change. So it does sound like that's become more of a priority for them now that they've gotten some of the desert content out.
Okay.
Yeah, I
cool,
100%
good.
support him there.
Yeah, there needs to be some kind of solo experience, right? Because it's not every day, no matter how many friends you have, there's going to be some time where you're going to log in and nobody's doing anything that you're trying to do. And you're not interested in doing anything anybody else is trying to do. And so you're like, I don't know what to do. Let me go try and, nope, this sucks. All right, I'm out. I'm just not going to play.
I feel like once the world gets a bit bigger, solo people are going to have an easier time finding something to do.
Yeah. What is TFD?
Oh, the first descendant. Turgo is. I was gonna play with them when they shifted over, but I think they only played like 2 maps with some peoples and tapped out.
Like,
they
okay,
were sleepy. Yeah, exactly. It was
Gotcha.
like, all right, we gotta go.
I'm a bit of a loner. I prefer solo. That's fair. I think that they need to have that in mind. Like, I don't think that being a solo player should mean that you can't play Ashes. I think that it might be more difficult to acquire some things and go through places like, Befallen Forge or Carfin. But I think also having a group of people that you can group up with via the Looking for Group chat, aka Global, or Shout, and trying to find your way into some of these groups as a fill-in or as a pug, I think is really important. I think it should be a part of, because not everybody is super social. And thank you, Turgo. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Cheers to you.
That being said, oh my gosh.
And again.
Thank you.
And again.
Cheers. I thought that was a duplicate.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Turgo's a longtime friend of ours.
Yes.
Plays a whole lot of randomness with games.
We're trying to poke him into playing Ashes more.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he just got back from taking a big old long vacation thing. So he's catching up now.
Yeah. Also, some of the people over on YouTube were talking about preferring more luscious areas, such as like forest and things like that. And Miriam was talking about looking forward to the tropics. And there was actually a question on that, because we heard that, it was going to be... Steve, to enjoy your lurk. It was going to be desert, then tropics, then back to desert, right? And so with this iteration out, how much more is there going to be to the desert before the big work on the tropics begins? And Nathan, one of their devs, I believe, says that, there's still a lot of content missing from the desert, such as events and commissions, as well as for you, Zoox, the narrative layer, which will kind of give us an idea of, and even Steven called her who Sand Mommy is.
Sand Mama, yeah.
So we're all wondering, and you know, the narrative layer, as well as like the depth of the materials that are currently in the Riverlands, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Like I've been running around last night. I already found you like 3 things, Vertec, that I got to start making you, so you can start playing around with the desert cooking. Okay. But I'm pretty excited. I love that there's these unique options. What are your thoughts on that? Like, you're so used to the Riverlands where there's all these snowdrops and daffodils and flax, and there's some of that still in the desert. Some of them, there's like a couple of bluebells or flax, but there's primarily poppies and like I forgot what it was called again. I kept calling it aloe earlier, but it's not aloe. It's
there's like a
agave.
Agave.
Oh yeah, agave.
And like there's all these other things that are out in the desert now. So what are your thoughts on that? How do you view, or like how does it feel for you knowing that like there's a whole separate list of options for you to make things in the desert with desert materials compared to Riverland materials?
Man, I am excited, very excited. I love the artisan part of the game, and I feel like it's just not totally I think it'll get the most service once the world expands and we get different biomes, because I think that's just gonna be what makes the world go around, is all these different types of materials in these different places all over the world. You know, you want to have poppies for a special poppy seed muffin recipe, you have to go to the desert to go get it, and you can't get it in another biome. You're going to take a trip to go make a poppy seed muffin, you know?
Or some very kind cook might just traverse those poppy seed muffins all the way to the Riverlands for you. But you're going to have to pay a high price because you had to go through a lot of mobs to get it there.
Man, I am so excited for that. Once they get these other biomes in with all these other materials, it's going to be amazing.
Actually, Vertec, side note there. So there's a new apprentice plant. It's called a paintbrush, because I gathered some of it and I was trying to figure out what it was used for. And Vertec says paintbrushes help paint things. And honestly, somebody I think mentioned it might be used to change the color of your gear. So I'm gonna have to try and like look around in the desert to figure out if there's anything there that lets you change that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I didn't see any dyes at the alchemy station, but maybe it's at like, I didn't see anything at the weaving station either, but maybe the tailoring station. I haven't checked there. So maybe we'll see.
Maybe they're waiting to get a certain amount of herbs out there. That way they can... Herbs and maybe even plants from farming as well. And certain ones need to be crushed together to make certain colored dyes through alchemy. And then you gotta get an herbalist to go out and collect the paintbrushes to do it.
Yes. Or you can come to TV, who's both an herbalist and an alchemist.
Ooh, fancy.
And a tailor.
Wow, I'm a leather worker, so yeah.
Look at us go. I might need you for some pants, because I gotta get better pants. You know?
Oh, dude, yeah, the pants. I gotta get a new shirt too.
Oh, just stop on by Chibi's. I'll get you a shirt. We'll trade pants for a shirt. It'll be perfect.
There you go.
Here we are.
You gotta get some raptors though.
Yeah, true.
Good luck on that. Actually, there's some more spawn points, right?
I was about. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just on those the other day, or like yesterday.
Vertec was like blurting out my punchline.
Heckin' yeah, stole it right out of your head.
He did. Various First Nation groups across North America traditionally use paintbrush flowers as a food source, according to a Google search. That's a real thing? Okay, good to know, because I was totally poking fun at it, but I love it. And also, you guys know, because I'm more of a role player than Vertec is, I still am planning on making my MMO like RP type of journal for Aurelia, my character, and right, Basil? And I kind of really want to see if I can get a high quality image of these, or if I can convince art team please to send me a transparent PNG so that I can print them out and put them in my like journal, so that I can make like little like character journal notes on the various plants. I think that'd be so cool. I would love that.
That'd be cute.
But yes. Also, Mary Jones, you said you've been trying out the different types of artisan classes. It is super worth going to the desert. Even if you just stay in the same area and go down to like Sunhaven, which is connected, so there's like a safe zone, and it's fairly safe to get to Sunhaven from Miraleth. You'll be able to look at all of the wonderful desert options there are for different recipes specific to the desert. I definitely recommend that. But yes, super excited, hoping that there's potions out there, or dyes rather, out there that can be done in the future. Also, no, I've not gotten a chance to get the scorpion bit to make the poison yet, but I still want to do it. Gotta figure out how to do that.
Is that hunting?
But I don't know if that's hunting, because typically hunting gives you either the animal or the carcass.
Yeah, but you do
Maybe
the
it's
carcass, right? And then tan it, and maybe you get the poison from that.
I think I got a scorpion. I'm gonna need somebody who does hunting or tanning, to process the scorpion that I picked up. Because
that would actually make sense. Because I know with other creatures, you end up getting the skin, fat, and bones.
Like a bone?
Maybe you get bits instead.
That's a good point.
Because the spider, you just get the carapace, so...
Yeah, that's fair. I'll head there on my highest level. Yeah, do it. I think it's super pretty. Going back to the PCG, I think they did a really good job. You can really tell the differences, and there's some really pretty areas. I can't wait to go back out there and take some nice photos and share them in our screenshot area. But they are doing such a great job. And they talked about how like the procedurally generated content tool allows I think it was taking their artists like weeks to get something done, and like just the cliff facing along a river, for example. But then this allows them to get it done in a fraction of the time, while also focusing highly on the POIs. So that way the POIs are looking nicer. And then of course they can always go back and adjust the procedurally generated content, but it takes a big bulk of their time out of the way. And I love that so much. And pity you can't get venoms from spiders. Fair. Maybe not yet. Who knows? Maybe that'll be the Riverlands version. Yeah,
we can get the cocoons from the spiders that way, huh?
Right. Well, if you're looking for arboreal cocoons, by the way, there's an event that happens over by Miraleth, specifically by Oakenbane, that drops a lot of them. So
I haven't been looking for the arboreal ones, luckily. That's for our tailor to worry about.
Yeah. Well, also, like that was kind of cool for me to see, because now I'm seeing that there's materials that are dropping from events. So.
Oh yeah.
Very helpful to know.
I think there's a spider event at the Nick of Bray, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Mary Jones over here is trying to get stuck out at sea with the ship half melted from acid.
Let's see. Oh, mount stats. So, Vertug, you once mentioned, I am on a wolf. Why is this wolf running faster than me when we were going through the wolves area? And so they were talking about how they're balancing the mount stats in the update too, because this is kind of going a little bit into, or sticking within the Q&A section of it. But that was one of the questions. Somebody is like, how do you balance the mount stats? And they said that the tier matters, and they're still looking at the traits of the creatures that you fight. Currently, they have base stats with speed and health implemented, but as they get animal husbandry to a place where they can begin playing, you'll start seeing some of these really cool, different, unique options coming through from animal husbandry, with speed and things like that being considered.
Okay.
So we're at a very like baseline, and it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm on a wolf. Why is this wolf faster than me? I think I made the joke of it being the run to the litter.
Yep, you did. Like, see, I'm training this wolf to be a better mount, right? And just every single other wolf in existence, even low level wolves, they could be level 3 or 4 or 1. And they'll still run faster than my mount, and I don't get it. I don't get it. They eat me.
Or they'll just teleport right to you.
Yeah, there's
those
that
are
too.
magic wolves.
I just got by a bear the other day about doing that to me.
Oof.
Ooh,
Well,
yeah.
bears are sneaky.
Oh, yes, Mary Jones. I agree. So, one thing that we noticed on the PTR, was that there's this giant exoskeleton of a creature, just kind of alongside one of the rivers, and I haven't gone back to see if it's there in the current iteration, but I definitely saw one next to an oasis in the desert, and we were curious about what kind of creature it came from.
There was definitely something like that near one of the pocket dungeons. I'm not sure if they covered that one in the live stream or not.
I'm not sure either.
There was a very large spine and rib cage right next to one of the pocket dungeons.
Yeah, from what I could tell, one of the pocket dungeons they went to, I think somebody just like teleported them to the dungeon. Might be it. So wouldn't it be cool if different mounts perform differently on different terrains? And I think that's what animal husbandry will be able to help you kind of figure out. Maybe there will be. I mean, I kind of am wondering if you and White Oracle are the same, because he literally made the same comment last week about different mounts being able to do better on like ice.
Gonna have to start carrying 7 different mounts in my my horse pocket.
Yeah, there you go. And we're gonna need a bigger inventory stash, Intrepid, just saying.
I'll just be happy to not be seeing alligators running around all over the place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially as there's going to be other things that are outdoing the alligators. I think the new things are Komodo dragons, the halberd birds, and hippos now. So
I love seeing those hippos running around.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Oh, and the anteater on stilts.
yeah, those I think are going to make people targets.
Day striders, yes. I really
Not a very
one.
stealthy choice, right?
Yeah, any of the also just any of the ones that are considered mules, they're designed to be able to carry extra cargo.
Oh, yeah.
So it's very much like this person's going to have a lot of collectible materials. If you just kill them, it'll probably drop to the ground.
That's what they're doing in the tropics, just saying. Let's see, what other juicy nuggets were like really big on this? Oh, jumping puzzles. Somebody asked if there was going to be a lower environmental gravity potentially in the future. And Steven's like, well, I don't know about like in general, but potentially for some future jumping puzzles or an active event would be kind of cool, because they started going back and forth about some different just fun throwing mud at the wall ideas. But we might see lower environment gravity for jumping puzzles specifically. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough bards flying around, so.
Right.
Well, he actually didn't realize that. I think that was already out, like, to use, because he was talking about like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if bards had that ability? And they're like, they do have that ability. And he's like, oh, I forgot what's in public and what's still in development.
Yeah, I love getting outrun by a bard just floating around while I'm riding my horse.
I honestly, I love it when the bard brings out the jumping, but then I get like freaked out a little bit when it happens when I'm not like expecting it, because I'm like trying to like heal somebody and then I'm like jumping to like get somewhere else, so I'm just like flying through the sky now, and I'm like, whoa, was not ready for that.
So Basil, if you're not good at jumping puzzles and you miss easy jumps and such, I think that you and Chibi should make a Chibi and Basil jump puzzle league. That way you can just gather some memberships so everybody can compete on equal terrain.
We'll call it the league for never mind, I had to come up with
the League of Unextraordinary Jumpers.
Unextraordinary Jumpers. Maybe we're extraordinary in other ways. Jeez. Oh no, because we both get stuck at the same stuff. We do. I started Bard earlier today. The starter weapon is a tomato.
Yes.
Yeah. The starter ability. Yeah, I love the ability. Wombatch would be a great mount. You're fast and strong. Okay. Separate. Ooh, I think it's a good idea to have a separate inventory for mounts and pets. compared to like the rest of your stuff. I could see that. I also would like to see maybe if they finally implemented the quest tab to actually put the quest items in that tab, because that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Especially for
so
certain church quests. Well,
Mm-hmm.
which, by the way, I think that one works a lot better now. I think they already did some changes to that because I went in.
Oh, did you test it?
Yeah, last night I went in. It was basically right as you were running away. I was jumping in with Betachi and some of the others that were starting on some lower level characters. So I jumped on my bard and I went over there and picked up the quest and ran to a church with him. And I think it took me 30 minutes to finish that quest.
Oh my gosh, that's so good to know, because that took us like hours. That was hours of grinding just to get that done, and that's a lot of XP,
3 hours,
you
and
guys.
you're still hunting down. Like, I still need 3 of these and 1 of those. I don't even know what those are. It's just this stupid thing isn't finished.
Yeah. That's good to know. That's really, really good to know. Now here's another cool thing, because we were talking earlier about secondaries, right? So somebody asked, they're using tank and cleric to to do the testing for the secondary archetypes. How much longer do you think it'll be before we see like the other archetypes coming in? And Steven's reply was that they're using tank and cleric to determine the speed in which the other archetypes come out for the secondaries.
Okay.
And I think that's a great idea, because that's like testing to see how the secondaries work and then figuring out the balances around them. And then from there, if this is working pretty well, let's start moving in the next one, and then the next one, and then like increasing the options there. So just some cool info. I know that you want to do all the things like tank/X. I want to do all the things cleric and bard/X. And it sounds like to me, Zoox, you want to do ranger/X.
Yep, all ranger. I really want to do ranger rogue, but I'm very interested in ranger tank too. So
yeah,
ranger tank, what would that look like? That'd be cool.
I have a couple ideas, but I don't want to get my hopes up.
Fair. Well, we'll find out phase 3.
So there you go. Actually, what would be a wish list? So if you're not familiar with how Steven said it's going to work, I think there's going to be, 4 schools of augmentation from each archetype. What schools of augmentation would you like to see coming from tank?
From tank, I think you'd get you'd obviously have like a mitigation, whatever they would call that, a mitigation, potentially an evasion. I don't know if that would count. There's a CC type of like crowd control type of school, and then the other one I was thinking of is area denial type of school. Okay, so area denial, almost like when you finish an ability, it actually puts something of an obstruction in the way. Like, one of my thoughts were, if you were a ranger and you use secondary tank, your airstrike would make a wall of vines that would actually block, line of sight, like the tank's wall does now.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine that?
That'd be so cool.
If rangers got that, and then you could run in with just a herd of rangers, box everybody in real quick, and then mages just explode them.
And you could even direct the airstrike, right? So you could even make it almost like just make a big circle. Be awesome.
Oh my gosh.
And then you could just barrage down everybody in there.
Fire.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a lot of hopes, but yeah, for tank, I think I have a spreadsheet somewhere where I was just toying with these, and I've made for every class.
Yeah.
In my head to try to see what it might be like. So,
because I was almost thinking like mitigation for one, like you said, that almost has to be a thing, right? Like you could build in some mitigation to some skills. I was also thinking like temporary life, because tanks have a couple skills that give like that. It works almost like a shield, but it's just temporary hit points. And And then obviously anything with adding tank as a secondary, you'd assume there's got to be some form of like an aggro mechanic you can add in, right?
Oh,
Like
God,
adds
yeah.
X amount of threat. But then the fourth one is where I get hung up. Like, what could that be? Because tank isn't really known for its evasion skills.
No.
So unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be an option. I was always hoping that would be an option, but I don't think it would be.
I've seen a lot of, they got a grapple, and they got a couple. I wonder if they're going to try to go with some of these other classes as more like maybe one of them adds more of the status effects. So maybe a trip class type of
Yeah, like maybe adding a touch of CC or even like area denial you're talking about.
So,
instead of putting up a
I feel
wall,
like
maybe it adds like the thing on the ground. It pulses damage for a little while longer to passively deny.
Yeah. I don't know. You can the thing that makes me excited about it is it's so open ended at the moment.
Yeah,
and it's what also worries me about it. So
thank you for stopping by there, Osiris. By the way, thanks for swinging on in. Yeah, it's. I'm crazy curious to see what they do about the tank and secondary, the tank and cleric secondary archetypes. Chibi, what are you hoping to see out of that? So if you could do like a bard cleric, what would you want to see pulled from the cleric as the capabilities or the schools of augmentation?
I don't know until I can figure out how the system is gonna work, really.
That's fair. Start thinking it's gonna work one way and then it turns out to be totally different.
Yeah, right now we've heard multiple different ways that secondaries can augment a primary one, so until that becomes a little bit more clear, I won't really have a good idea on what I'm thinking.
Yeah, all I really care about is that those secondaries I want them to fundamentally change some of the abilities. I want them to feel different. I don't want it to just be, and I feel like he's talked about it a little bit, that he's hoping to make it feel that way. But I just wouldn't want it, to be a secondary rogue and it's just, oh, your snipe now has a plus 5% chance to crit.
Yeah.
Because that would feel a little deflating.
But besides that, they mainly just showed us like some of the pocket dungeons that Vertec and I had the ability to play through with Planendorf on, and there's not much outside of just random Q&A from here. But I think it'd be really cool with the augments coming through to see how exactly those work. There's not really a timeline, obviously, phase 3. But there wasn't really any timeline given or clarification, because Nair had asked earlier in chat, did Steven clarify the tank cleric thing, or do all archetypes get the cleric or tank secondary? Do only tanks and clerics get primaries and secondary options? And he didn't really clarify that. He just said that, they're starting with cleric and tank, and they'll add other secondaries. So we're assuming it's the first one where all people will have access to cleric and tank secondaries. And not the second one where it's just cleric and tank having secondaries, because that feels a little unfair. If I had to judge it, it would feel a little unfair that only clerics and tanks get to have secondary options of cleric or tank.
Well, not to mention it also
everybody
be a
having
whole lot easier to balance and introduce. If everybody gets the same kind of augmentations, you can balance that a lot easier than two archetypes get every other kind of augmentation.
Yeah,
I agree. But aside from that, I just wanted to showcase this nice, pretty photo that Warforged took. I'm gonna share it out in the chats for you guys. But I thought it was really pretty, and I think that the pocket dungeons look really cool. There's a lot of lore that they can't wait to have us test out with the more lore bits, I don't, narratives, I think is what I'm trying to get at. The narrative pieces coming through. So can't wait. I will say one of the dungeons, the little bit of lore they gave us is that the Jinn made it for the Aelins. And that's kind of all we got on the pocket lore. But look at how beautiful. This is from the desert. This is one of the desert oasis areas. Look how beautiful that is.
It's gorgeous.
I love watching them go through those little dungeons.
Yeah.
They look great.
Yeah, I agree.
And
but
which pocket dungeon was that, by the way?
That was the one where they all have Jinn in their name. So there's the little rock creature is the one we died in a lot towards the end of the PTR testing.
Oh, okay. The one with the big viewport in the ceiling.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
All I remember, look, I have a different perspective of playing dungeons than you do. I just see people's health bars and a little bit of what's happening around us.
Is it the one where the fire guy killed us, like exploded us, and we tried to get plant endorphin to observe what was happening, and then it behaved normally? And
then it didn't. It's one of those like calling IT and saying that it's not working, and then once IT gets on the phone with you and you go to show them the thing, it just magically works, and you didn't do anything differently. It just works now.
Yep. We're like, we think this might be an issue. It doesn't seem like it's predictable. It's not really visible. Can't really tell what's happening. He dashed through us and then we died. But it wasn't from the dash because it was about 2 seconds after the dash. But we just, nothing happened and then we died. And then he asked to come along and check it out. And he came along and it didn't do that.
Nope. It was doing this crazy zoomy thing too. It was just like whoosh, all over the place.
Yeah. Those little fire elementals are mean.
Sorry, I explained through audio and gesturing, so.
Love it.
But
gesturing
I wanted
you
to.
Just can't see it.
yeah. There we go. I wanted to save the last little bit of this time before we close to ask, what is your favorite thing about the update, especially because Vertec, like they mainly just visually, outside of the Q&A where they're talking, they mainly just visually showed off the new Sand Mama statue, the updates to the treasure hunting, and then the pocket dungeons that we got to do. So taking from our PTR experience, feel free to pull out on that, or like what we saw with just recently in the desert. So with the updates to the desert / dev stream updates, what is your favorite? It could be an FAQ, it could be a visual update.
My favorite, I think, was, I seeing what they've done with it, and I've really liked seeing the dungeons, but I'm really happy to hear more about how they built it out with the procedural generated program or whatever they got, because I was kind of getting, because I get kind of stressed out thinking about how many biomes they still got to make, and knowing that they're creating a piece that's going to help them fill out other biomes relatively easily and quickly makes me feel a little bit more confident in them getting all those biomes up that they need to get. So I was really happy to hear about how well it's going with that too.
Yeah, I agree.
But no, those dungeons look beautiful. I've never been much of a desert fan. I don't like sand. So
yeah, I think it's pretty. I think that they've done a lot of really cool, unique things to the desert. Vertex,
it looks good. I love any dungeon that's like deep underground and you're going through caverns and stuff, and there's like, there were those like purple crystals jutting out of the walls and stuff. I loved it.
Yeah, I hope one day we can harvest those. I want to know what I can make with them.
Yeah, I like the pocket dungeon stuff for sure. I think my answer is going to be very generic, to be honest. Just the fact that there was something added to the desert to make it more interesting, just in general, like the additional creatures, the additional plants, the additional like terrain, especially around Azmoran. Just it feels as a whole a little bit more complete, and that's probably my favorite part, to be honest. It's a very general answer. I know it's nothing specific, but just the fact that you can, it's going to draw more casual attention to the desert, more people down there, and more reasons to be there in the first place. It's not just a final or origin destination for a caravan, or somewhere to go to get your lumberjacking axe, and that's the only reason you go down there, and then you never visit again.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I would agree. I don't think that was my favorite part, but I would say that's a big part, that was updated. I think that it looks really good. I think that they're on the right track with making it. Specifically, they highlighted how towards Sunhaven or towards the Riverlands areas, it's more dense with foliage, and the further down you get, there's less and less foliage. Hello, Cobra. Thank you for the hydrate.
Thank you for the hydrate.
Cheers.
And a stretch. Oh my goodness.
Stretch. I needed that. I went to the gym today. You as well. But I think one thing if I had like a little bit of, I know it's an alpha, so don't take this like in a mean way. It's just my like light criticism, constructive criticism. I love the direction. It's really hard to traverse the desert though, especially on a lower level, and with there being a lot of level 13 dungeons, I would like to see there be more traversability for lower levels within the desert. I think that's coming, so it's not like the biggest thing. If I had to give a critique, that's what it would be. But my favorite thing, I have to say, is finding out that there's adding more lore, and there's just a huge space that they're still going into. But I'm also kind of a weather nerd in terms of like how everything happens. Vertec, I'm sure you noticed this, and anybody watching the live stream saw the big green lines in the sky.
Those are apocalyptic missile trajectories.
Yeah,
those were accidentally added in, and they were kind of a testing area. And so what those actually are little areas that denote the range in which the node is. And the reason why that's important is because when he's out in the desert, he increased like the wind, and you saw all this like wind kick up the dust, and like this little dust storm happened. And so to predicate these dust storms and kind of begin working on creating different weather events within the desert, they wanted to make sure it didn't affect the nodes directly. It stayed outside of the nodes. So I thought that was really, really cool. And that's what those were. So I was just curious. I one little like nerdy thing, because like I'm in development, so I thought that was really, really cool. That's my favorite thing. But
the one thing I didn't catch everything about, maybe if there was more conversation around it that I missed. The time to kill being balanced at an 8v8.
Yeah. That was definitely just balanced for the 8v8.
Because that kind of makes me sad.
Not for the 1 or 2v3. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's yeah, super sad.
They did say though that they have where did I put it? They said that there's usually a conversation between combat and the owners of those archetypes to figure out how to do the balancing. And now that the devs are in and actually like testing their classes, there's a lot more information that they're able to grab. Like in theory, this is how it should work versus in actuality and feeling like this. And of course, it's no surprise with mage being super overpowered at the moment. Most people are playing mage. So yeah. But he kind of led off with like currently it's balance for the 8v8, but like shout out to the PvP event that Lloyd had mentioned a couple weeks ago on our podcast, or Tavern Talk rather. And he was kind of talking about how, like while there's things that might come and change things, there's stuff that may not stick, some stuff that might, and we're in an alpha, so there's a lot happening. That being said, if you want to hear more of Lloyd, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, finish that up.
If you want to hear more of Lloyd's thoughts, he's going to be our guest next week.
But I'll only say that I'm not sure if it was just a happening within that, but the siege testing, my tank felt much more tanky during that.
Interesting.
There's a lot of
that was after they did the nerfs, or do you think they did secret buffs and they hadn't
I
told
don't know.
anybody?
I honestly don't know. It may have also just been that I didn't encounter a mage. Specifically, I didn't encounter a mage that knew how to really blow off their combos and nuke, but I felt much more like a tank. I didn't really kill anybody.
Things that we wore in that are different than what we're wearing in game currently. So I really do think a lot of it comes down to gear. Well, no, I'm saying
only barely.
you only have access to a very specific set of gear within that compared to what we have access to right now. So there's probably a lot more better geared mages is the point that I'm getting at.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that's potentially fair.
When you're bringing all of them to the same level, the same gear options and the same like level options, no food buffs, no other buffs, like it probably puts on a more even playing field is more my point.
Gotcha. I see.
But who can tell? I'm just saying that means that gear matters a lot right now, and I don't know if that's in the intent or what, but yeah. But all in all, Zoox, how are you feeling with the alpha? You're enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it, just taking my time. It's an alpha. I'm looking to the future.
Same. So speaking of the future, Vertec has requested that we raid over to Dusty Y because Dusty Y has raided us a couple of times, and the one time we got to raid him, he ended shortly after, I think, or was ending. So trying to grab the jump before he ends this time. He's currently doing Befallen Forge. So let's raid the raider. We're
gonna raid the raider in the Befallen Forge raid.
I'll go ahead and get that started.
All right. Well, do you have, friend Zoox, maybe a 1 or 2 sentence zinger that you'd like to unload real quick before we run out? We're already on the raid timer, so just a couple sentences super fast.
Yeah. Hey, no, thank you for having me. It was a blast. I'm looking forward to playing with y'all in the future.
Yeah, same. And thank you everybody for joining us. If you liked this, let us know, and if you want to see us make a video on our experience with the PTR siege testing, let me know, and I'll set that up with Vertec and myself. Otherwise, if you like this kind of content, come back here Tuesday for this type of content, or gameplays on Monday. Sorry,
we do all sorts of stuff many days in the week.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for stopping by. Thank you for spending your time here. As you know, it is your most valuable commodity. You do not get change back when you spend it somewhere. It is gone. So thank you for spending it here.
The wompity womps.
We appreciate it. Everybody have yourselves a great day, and we'll catch you around next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.